Milwaukee reached agreements on acquiring Pelicans guard Drew Holiday.
Holiday from the corner, got it. Traded up and got a new.
As long as everybody's on the same page, which is to be a champion, I don't see why not to be in Milwaukee for the next 15 years.
Welcome back to the Jumps Free Agency Special. I'm Rachel Nichols. We've got Amin with us, Paul and Vince are back, and now joining us, our senior writer, Ramona Shelburne. And Ramona, I want to start with Bogdan Bogdanov. He appeared to be headed to the Bucks via sign and trade earlier this week, only to decide to opt for restricted free agency instead. Now, the NBA's free agency period doesn't start till today, of course, and sources confirmed the league is now investigating whether an agreement happened earlier than permitted. Ramona, you know how I feel about tampering, that it happens all the time, and some of these rules are really ridiculous and frankly insulting to some of the players. What is the latest with the situation with the league, with the teams involved?
Well, Bogdanovich is on his way back to the United States, and he's planning on taking meetings. This may take a couple of days for him to decide where he's going to go, but I don't think he's going to Milwaukee. They lost their opportunity to make that original deal construction happen when they waived Ilyasova. And frankly, with this NBA investigation, I don't think he can take a chance on going back to Milwaukee or going to Milwaukee. And frankly, he had never said he was going to Milwaukee because fundamentally he's not allowed to say that yet. Even if he was only talking to Giannis, you can't have a deal in place 48 hours in advance of free agency in a year when every single agent has told me about a memo that they were all sent this year by the league, sternly warning them about tampering, right? Promises of $10 million fines, and everybody's got to keep this straight this year. This is not the year for anybody to be jumping the gun. And I think there was a variety of reasons why this came undone, but starting with, and most importantly, Bogdanovich never said yes because he couldn't say yes 48 hours in advance. And now he's an unrestricted free agent, or he's a restricted free agent. He can sign an offer sheet, but he's on his way back to the U.S. right now, and he's planning on taking meetings. So I think it's going to take a couple days.
Yeah, Rachel, what I was going to say is these are the moments that really tear me apart, because the media guy in me is like, yes, I want to know about these deals. Break them as soon as we hear about them. Yes, a sign and trade, why not? Even though we know, as Ramona said, fundamentally that's impossible unless you were doing some heavy duty, not just tampering, because Sacramento can give permission, but heavy duty cap circumvention, beating the free agency deadline by 48 hours, right? But the front office guy in me says that's what you get when you're so hot to trot to tell your media sources what's going on. And as a front office guy, I say that's why you keep it close.
Kemba Walker was in Boston the day before he signed with the Celtics last year.
Yes.
That was not like on spec. That was because they had already worked something out.
Rachel, I get it. It happens. But when you put that out there, because we all know how this business works. People in front offices talk to people in the media, talk to people like Ramona, talk to people like Brian, and they'll give them this information because they want to control the message or get ahead of the messaging or whatever it is you want to call it. And agents do this too. So you got to understand, whenever you're engaging in that kind of behavior as a front office, you are risking the validity of this deal. And what the league isn't going to do, it's one thing for Kemba Walker to be in Boston before the free agency period begins. It's another thing to announce a sign and trade 4 days before the trade.
Announce it.
But you know what I mean. When it's leaked, you're not telling them for your health. You're telling them because
I'm sorry,
you want the world to know.
I can't get with this. I can't be here on this. This just always seems so silly to me. Players understand what their value is. They know what their options are. The idea that they won't know unless some other team tells them just doesn't make any sense to me. And Sacramento obviously being involved in this deal was involved in the
Yeah.
idea of him leaving. So who is being hurt, obviously, by him leaving is theoretically other teams
Right.
that might want to sign him. But he's not an unrestricted free agent. He's restricted. So Sacramento is going to have a say in this anyway. I don't know, Paul, regardless of the tampering, the not tampering, all of that, he is restricted. Do you think Sacramento should match anyone else who makes them an offer? How valuable do you think he is?
I think it's very valuable for what they're doing. I mean, they're a young and up-and-coming team, possibly could be in the playoffs next year. But on the flip side, this has to be very discouraging for the Milwaukee Bucks, who just saw a team get so much better and take steps back. I mean, Drew Holiday is a really good player, but having this kid on your roster really upgraded them to another level along with Drew. So this is discouraging, but he's a value player in this league, and I expect Sacramento to match any offer that is given to him.
Rachel, I want to point out that this is a different year, and I get your point about tampering, but I have been sent this memo that the league had sent around to all agents and teams this year saying we are cracking down on tampering. They knew it had really gotten out of hand the last couple of years, especially in the way it was being reported, and the guys just flaunting it like Kemba Walker, which you referenced yesterday or earlier. And I think in this situation, Bogdanovich's agents were being very careful not to put him in this situation because restricted free agency is already hard enough. And he deserves a chance to be a restricted free agent, no matter how many players he's talking to right now. He's allowed to talk to players, not allowed for teams to engage in any kind of conversations like that. And now I think what's really important, if you're Milwaukee, and I feel really bad for the Bucks because, you know, for the one team that a small market team trying to keep its superstar, trying to get him to sign this supermax extension. This is so important for them. But if you're going to try to execute a deal of this magnitude, first with Giannis, when they can offer him that, and also the other surrounding moves to convince him to stay, you have got to keep your mouth shut. And that's not talking to the media. That's talking to other teams. There was a Board of Governors call the other day. I think that was talked about on the Board of Governors call. There was a lot of talking. And when you get loud about it, I don't know which team turned them in and asked the league to do an investigation. They have their theories, but pretty much any team that wants Giannis is going to tell the league, hey, crack down on this. And so I feel sorry for Milwaukee, but also you got to keep it tight.
That's all I'm saying.
Because of all of this, I received from a reliable source saying that the Hawks are targeting some veteran shooting, and Bogdan, Gallinari, Joe Harris, and Rondo are people that they're very interested in. They feel like they can get two of these guys for sure. And so it's interesting that you're saying that Bogey is possibly coming into the States to talk to teams, and the Hawks, from what my source is telling me, feeling that they feel very confident that they can snag two of those guys. So Bogey could be possibly one of the guys the Hawks pick up, and they kind of get lucky after all of this happening in Milwaukee.
Well, the Hawks have the most money, right? So they're being put out as the team that everybody says has interest in their client. Okay, that they use as leverage. They can only sign one or two of these big names. But I think that they should be in on Bogdanovich. I think there's a lot of other teams that could do sign-in trades. I've heard the Lakers' name has been mentioned as a team that might have interest. It'd be very difficult because they'd have to work out a sign trade. They don't have a lot of salaries that match up. But now this is wide open. And the one place I don't think he's going now is Milwaukee because of this NBA investigation means you can't take a chance on going to Milwaukee at this point. First, I don't think they can pay you. They're hard capped. But if in 3 weeks that investigation turns up tampering and then your deal is invalidated, now you're really in trouble.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to see all of this. Vince, by the way, thank you for the tip. I almost broke out the siren for you. I think
I started to say it too. That's okay.
I think we can do it, producer Danny, right? Director Kathy, we can do it, right? There we go. It's a key player alert from Vince. There we go. I love it. And by the way, the man just took off an Atlanta Hawks jersey before he put that suit on. So I would listen to him. He knows Bogey really well. Also, I do want to get to the Lakers part of the equation because you just mentioned them. Lakers president of basketball operations, Rob Pelinka, just got his own deal done for Dennis Schroeder, and he spoke about that trade and more in his media availability yesterday. Here is what he said about the Schroeder deal. Quote, "He has been a player we pursued not just in this trade deadline, but before. We pursued him aggressively. I think it's easy to fall into complacency when you win a title."